It's a laundry day.
Oh,
Welcome to another episode of MoonRanker. I'm Paul,
I'm Mark.
and this time we're doing.
The third movie in the 007 James Bond franchise, Goldfinger.
Shocking.
Who are you?
James Bond.
Produced in 1964. This was probably the first. They doubled the budget for it, so the budget for this one was a combination of the first two movies. It was considered the first blockbuster James Bond movie.
It shows.
Yeah, they definitely spent a lot more money on it. Based on, of course, the Ian Fleming book of the same name, written in '59, I believe. This was directed by Guy Hamilton, this is the first of the 4 movies he directed for the Bond series. Written by Richard Maibaum and Paul Dean did the screenplay, which I believe Maibaum wrote a lot of the James Bond movies.
Okay.
So, not sure how close it is to the book because I haven't read the book since I was a kid, so I don't really remember. But this one is kind of heralded as sort of the prototypical what we come to know as the Bond films.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was one of the things I wanted to bring up.
Yeah, we'll talk about
Yes.
that. And this is has a lot of firsts in it for this
Yeah.
movie, and so I guess we can talk about our cast.
Well, before we get into that, I want to bring something up. Normally, we rate everything. We have 7 categories. We rate them from 001 to 007. There's
Correct.
7 categories, and typically you would see like an effect on the screen. Well, since Mark picked up the Roger Moore Moonraker Funko Pop, we came up with a series of dots ranging from 001 to 007. So when it comes time to rate it how we want to rate it, we just move him from, say, 001 to 004, and then the next guy goes to the next, and you get the idea from left to right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Basically, it's my way of not having to do so much editing.
Correct. He is the Moonraker. And so won't go into we'll talk about the plot when we get to it. So, of course, we have Sean Connery back as James Bond. Honor Blackman as Pussy Galore, one of the best named villains of all time.
He's probably the.
Yes.
Well, we'll get into that later.
Gert Frube as Auric Goldfinger, our main villain. Shirley Eaton as Jill Masterson, one of the Bond girls in the movie. Tanya Mallet as Tilly Masterson, her sister. Harold Sakata as Oddjob, Goldfinger's manservant.
Yes.
Really a manservant and henchman.
Yes.
And of course, then we have some of the usual players. Bernard Lee as M. We get a new Felix Leiter. So we get Sek Linder is his name.
Okay.
And so very different from Jack Lord's portrayal. And then we get, of course, Lois Maxwell as Miss Moneypenny, and Desmond Llewellyn is back as Q. And then Michael Mellinger is another henchman who eventually gets thrown over into the gold at the end of the movie. So
with no Wilhelm scream.
No, he falls quietly.
Yes,
but a nice crushing metallic sound when he hits the bottom. So Goldfinger. So we'll start with our ratings of Goldfinger tonight.
Well, I want to talk about M for a minute.
Oh yeah, M. Yes, yeah. Bernard Lee. Yes.
Yes. I never really realized how cool M was. I'm just throwing that out there.
How do you rate the pre-title sequence, and what did you think of it?
The pre-title sequence? I'm going to give it a 007.
Okay.
Because it's a mini movie. Like from start to finish, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's just a small microdose of like a day in the life of James Bond, and it's just well done all the way around.
Okay. I'm going to give it a 004. It's probably one of my least favorite cold openings. I mean, I do like the spy stuff in the beginning. So I like when he comes in with a duck on his head, and he sneaks in and lays all the bombs.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just kind of found it once he gets to the bar and the whole sequence with the girl, it's just kind of cheesy. And for some reason, and the fan throwing the fan in the tub and making the one-liner. It's just I don't know. I mean, I probably loved it as a kid, but it just seems so cheesy now.
Yeah.
So I knocked it down for cheesiness.
Well, one of my favorite parts of the whole thing is the most ridiculous part of the whole thing, where he has the tuxedo under his scuba suit.
Under the scuba suit. Yes.
That has been parodied and emulated, as has this movie.
Yes.
That has been parodied and emulated so many times. My absolute favorite is Brock Sampson.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and here he is right here. Here he is in the very suit that he gets out of with the scuba gear.
Yep.
Your rating of the theme song.
The theme song is probably my second favorite Bond theme song. My first favorite, I won't give it away, but I will let you know, there's two of them tied for first place for my absolute favorite. And the interesting thing about all this is going to be is we have in our heads the movies that we love the most, and then we have the rating system, and it kind of will throw you off a little bit. Because I was noticing that as I was filling out my thing, I was like, wait a minute, this isn't my favorite James Bond movie, but I'm doing all this stuff over here,
Right.
But, Shirley Bassey, the Goldfinger theme, it's a 007.
Yeah. I also feel that the Shirley Bassey theme is iconic to this day. The fact that they were able to write a song about Goldfinger actually captures the essence of Goldfinger in the lyrics, and so it's not cheesy at all.
No.
And so my only concern or my only criticism is I found the sequence behind the song boring. The fact that they just project scenes from the movie on a golden girl, and so I thought it was kind of dull.
I think that was kind of neat.
Yeah. I don't know.
That way the old men in the audience watching the movie can like
get a preview.
They can get a look at some skin.
No, I agree. Yeah.
And like what? It's a foreshadowing for the movie.
Yes. Yes, I'm learning the plot right now, but no, I'm not going to knock it off for that. But so it's 007 for me. I mean, it's the classic. It is an iconic song.
And anytime,
she can still belt it out to this day.
Is she still alive?
Well, let me check.
If not, it's going to sound awful muffled.
Hold on. Is she still singing down there?
We're not dead.
Hell yeah, she's alive. 88 years old.
All right,
going strong. I thought so because she just performed somewhere again, and her voice was still pretty strong.
Well, one of my favorite Goldfinger song moments is on the Muppet Show, when Shirley Bassey was the guest on the Muppet Show, and they had all that gold that got brought in, but it got stolen. So Scooter talks about, maybe we can go down and get a bunch of ice from the whatever they call it, to sell ice, the ice store, and she could do Goldfinger.
Jeez. Old Muppets.
Good old Muppets. I was explaining that to my kids a while back about they don't understand because they know who the Muppets are. You know, it's part of the world we live in, but they don't understand how big that show was.
Oh yeah,
I mean, real stars were showing up on that show. You know, clamoring over each other to get on that show with them silly puppets.
Yep.
I'm going to give the plot with locations a 005. Mm, I love the idea of just nuking Fort Knox.
Right.
I think that's a great, simple, easy thing to do, especially in 1964 when we didn't have quite the radar stuff that we have now. They could have just.
Yep.
And that's why I give it a 5 and not a 7, because up until I started really thinking about there's too many moving parts to the to work.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I'm considering Goldfinger's master plan
Yes.
as the plot, because the plot itself moves along. It's about a 2-hour movie. It moves along really fast because they location jump a lot, and they also do this thing where it's slow, 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 and then action. About the time you start getting a little bit bored, the action kicks in. But yeah, they could have easily just dropped a bomb, and the fact that the gas works so fast over such a broad area.
I have a theory about that because that has bothered me since I was a little kid until we watched it tonight.
All right,
I figured it out.
Change my answer.
Well, no, I don't. I'm not, because actually mine is also a 005. So I also for a couple reasons. So I mean, it's really a movie in I guess 3 acts. So you've got him, Lighter putting him onto Goldfinger. You get the Golden Girl. You get the middle section where he's captured by Goldfinger, and then the sister, they get involved in that. That's kind of where I think the movie drags, is with the sister plot. And he even says, James, focus, and then he gets distracted by her. And I kind of felt the movie was the same way.
Yeah.
The movie could have done without her revenge plot.
Yeah.
Totally. So I didn't think that was necessary. And that's why I knock it down a little bit. And then, there's a lot of stuff, iconic things in the plot.
So much.
So, I'll get to why I rated it a 5. So, so it's got, number one, it's got the famous laser scene. That's an iconic.
Often imitated,
yes. I love the fact that, that Bond and Goldfinger, Goldfinger figures out who Bond is, but they just keep having this tete-a-tete.
That's the word, yes.
And so that I do like that tension in the movie, that they're constantly one-upping each other and trying to compete with one another.
It's a different way of having it be not just the mastermind who, he meets in the 3rd act.
Correct. It's throughout the whole movie. I think it's clever that the gold is smuggled as parts of the car. Speed Racer, I'm looking at you ripping it off, but that's fine. It was the greatest episode of Speed Racer with the mammoth car. Well, maybe the second greatest.
I gotta go with the one that scared the hell out of me as a kid.
Milan still races.
No, the one where Trixie has the dream. Speed Racer pulls up. She jumps out. She's doing the speed, and she runs up to him and turns him around and is like, that scared the hell out of me as a little kid.
I thought Milan Still Races was scary.
Oh, it's creepy. It's creepy.
That's a whole other. Tell us if you ever want to if you want us to review Speed Racer. That could be a blast.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, and I got them all.
I think I do too, actually.
Yeah. The locations. We get the generic Central or South American country in the opening sequence. They go to Kent, England. They go down to Geneva for the factory, and then of course we end up in Kentucky.
That banjo kicked in. My roots started showing a little bit too much. It's kind of uncomfortable.
But a couple. We also get Miami.
Yes.
Fly out to Miami. But a couple things knock it down for me. Number one, I think it's just been parodied so much, it's hard to take it seriously anymore.
Yeah.
And so it's not its fault.
Nope.
It's just, but this is the prototypical, he should have just killed Bond and gotten it over with.
Yeah.
He should have, as I said while we were watching the movie, just moved the laser back and forth and cut off his legs.
Yeah.
And then then tied him to the bomb at the end. But, so the parodying of it kind of lowers it for me. I think the cheesy pilots. When I was a kid, I was googling.
Yeah, because
my dad loves that. Loved that scene. But I don't know. And it is like overly complex for a plot. And then the bottom line is this, and a few years ago I was reading about it, and technically I get, and I don't know them, I don't know how business and markets work, but apparently his plan wouldn't have worked. So apparently, even if he had nuked Fort Knox, because it was such a low grade atomic bomb, the gold would have been unirradiated in about 6 months. So he would have had a small bump in his fortune.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, then a bunch of details about that it would all balance out, or because gold was harder to get now, it would actually lower the price. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, basically, the plot, it wouldn't work as a plot. He'd if he were selling gold, he would make millions. But keeping the gold, he doesn't make any money.
Yeah.
And so, if he had like irradiated it and then sold off all of his gold at a high price.
Yeah.
So but anyway, I don't know. I couldn't figure it out, but so I knock it down for that. But it's got, I mean, there's just great scenes in it. So for me, it's like the parts are great, and when you add it up to the whole, it brings it down to a 5.
Yeah, and when he was because he's clearly obsessed with gold.
Yes,
because he loves only gold.
I love gold.
Somebody had to.
Isn't it weird?
But it was killing him to sit there and see it all and know that in his lifetime he's never going to be able to touch it.
No, he would not be able to touch it. Yeah.
In the 50 or 60 years that it would supposedly have been radioactive, he would. I mean, let's face it. The shape that guy's in.
Yeah.
He's not going to make it another 10 years.
And I don't know if that's why the plot involves him being there. Because you're right. He could have simply had his henchmen drop off the bomb and blow it up, but he had to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're to see it.
Yeah. Like just he could have walked up and like kissed one.
Yeah. He at least would have taken one of them.
Yeah.
But so I knock it down for that. I mean, you do get a lot of firsts in this. So we get the first, bomb ticking down to 007.
Yes.
Or, which is famous in other movies now.
We get the first shaken. He gets shaken, not stir that he says. Yeah. So the villain and the henchman.
Mm-hmm.
I give it a 007. And here's why. Because Goldfinger is the Bond villain. He is in a movie full of firsts. Nobody parodies Dr. No.
Right.
Everybody parodies, and some famously parody.
Yes.
Gold. I almost called him Goldmember.
Yeah. Goldfinger.
And Oddjob is like a supervillain henchman. He's that level.
Yes.
I mean, Dr. No had the metal hands,
right,
and that made him kind of weird. But Oddjob is just this unstoppable machine with, the iconic, and I use that word, the iconic hat.
Yes.
And he's throw a brick at him. It's like, it's like, I would have ran.
Yes.
But no, those two guys, Oddjob and Goldfinger, just they're perfect. They're practically like supervillains.
Yes. And hence, that's why I knock it down to a 006.
Oh.
So for me, I can't see it. Sorry. So yes, they are. This is the first, I think. So when in From Russia with Love, we get Red, who is in all ways like Oddjob. He's built, he's tough, he's strong. He can fight. But to me, Oddjob, raises it to that ridiculous. I mean, he's ridiculous. The hat is ridiculous.
Yes.
I love it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love it. And of course, this sets the precedent for the henchmen to get more and more ridiculous as the movies go on. But, I mean, I still want to keep it up there at a 6, though, because I actually think, for being a big old guy, Goldfinger he's a match for 007. He's brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And they have this tete-a-tete going through it. And then even in the end, physically, he's coming at him with a gun. I'm just going to shoot you in the end. I'm done with you. I'm going to shoot you. Yeah. They fight. He gets sucked out the window, which I think is a cool death for the villain.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, for those reasons, I also, my favorite line of his is "Choose your next witticism carefully. It may be your last." And no, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Yeah.
And so I think his witticisms are just as cool as James Bond.
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely a match for him. And
Yeah.
what I liked is when Bond is talking to Pussy Galore.
Yes.
There goes our monetization.
Yes.
When
Ms. Galore.
Yes, when Bond is talking to Ms. Galore, he's mad,
Yeah.
So are you, Mr. Bond.
You're Mr. Bond, yes.
You're the same person.
Yeah, you're cut from the same cloth.
Yep.
Yeah, so I do give it, but I think I just knock it down one because, again, it's not the movie's fault. It's just what comes after, and it kind of this is where it changes. Where I'll talk about that in the next few movies, but this is where we can now get ridiculous. We can go to ridiculous speed.
Yes, I'm all in at the moment.
Yes.
Also, let's not forget Goldfinger's gun.
Yes, he is the man with the golden gun to begin with. Yes.
Again, a movie of firsts.
Yes. And I think he's they're effective villains. I mean, they kill just about everybody around James Bond. So, but damn, back to the plot.
You can go back. It's fine.
So, by the way, we hyped up the fact that I figured out why the gas does what it does.
Yeah.
So anyway, how could I forget?
Yeah, you're leaving everybody in suspense.
You have to cut this up.
Sure, well, be fine.
Yeah. So when I was a little kid, and the gas is making all of the horror. And by the way, the actors they picked for the goon squad that he hired, he gets the $1 million from.
Oh yeah,
God, they're terrible.
All the mob
guys.
All
the mob guys
we don't work with Chicago. What are they doing here?
What? Why are the lights out?
Yeah, but I don't like this.
I don't like this. They're screaming and dying from the gas. Goldfinger says to them, it paralyzes you and leaves you unconscious for 24 hours. So when I was a kid, I thought they were screaming because they were angry that he fooled them. And then I thought, he must have killed them later. And then when I'm watching the movie later, when the gas goes on the army base, I'm like, it's so fake. They're all just like, ugh. They're like falling, and the acting was so terrible. And then tonight I'm watching it, and I'm like, wait a minute. The gas kills. According to Bond, he says it to Goldfinger later, that gas doesn't do that. It kills you immediately. And then it's revealed later by Felix Leiter that Pussy Galore called Washington, and they changed the canisters. So the army, everyone who passes out in the town and in the army had to fake it. They got everyone to fake it, which is another reason why you said like the plot is so complex. Yeah. To engineer that, to get everyone on cue to drop when they think the gas is coming over them, that knocks the plot down a bit for me. But I figured that out tonight. I'm like, wait a minute, they are faking it. That's why they all look so dumb when they fall over. Yeah, because they literally fall like the toys in Toy Story. Yeah. Andy's coming. Yeah. So they they all carefully fall. They catch themselves. Yeah. And I'm like, that's because they were told to fake it. Yeah, I want to know who flipped the truck over. I know, in between and doing all that. Yeah, they were fast. Reacher could do it, but if you watch Reacher, you know what I mean. But but anyway, that's what I figured out tonight. They're faking it. That's why it looks so terrible. So, and of course, but the girls couldn't tell because they're flying way above them. So they just see, and then when the cars come through later, it's all bodies laying there. So right, because then that would explain why. I mean, I never paid attention to that. That would explain why he doesn't just flat out kill Miss Galore. No, because she's a mass murderer. Yes. So, yep. So I'll deal with her later. I mean, she probably went to prison for God knows what. Yeah. All kinds of different international crimes. Or she's now like 009 or something. Maybe we'll put her in the... Who knows? Or she's with the CIA. I could see them recruiting her. Well, unfortunately, I'm going to have to lump these all together because I wanted to figure out... Because I forgot how many are in this. Because you could even throw in the silly pilots. Yep. So that kind of screwed up my score a little bit.
I mean, Miss Galore has the best name ever.
Yes, she does.
I mean, there's no like there's not even a single entendre in that name, let
No.
alone a double entendre.
No.
So, she gets it. She gets it for best name ever.
Yes.
Like, except for maybe, was it Natalia Onatopp?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
She's a close second.
Yes.
Um, but she's not exactly, she's no Ursula Anders. But so I'm gonna total them all up and give the blonde girls.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give the Bond girls a 004.
Okay.
That's an average because some of them are hot. Because the girl in the beginning, the golden girl,
Yes.
she is like the epitome of like the '60s girl,
Yes.
and then they get progressively lower after that. So.
That's funny. That's my note. So, if it were only Jill Masterson, Shirley Eaton, who's clever, who's smart, who's funny, who, oh my God, she's gorgeous. If she were the only Bond girl in the movie, this would be a 007 easily.
Mm-hmm.
However, her somewhat annoying and much more librarian-looking sister Tilly knocks it down a few.
Yeah.
The Flying Circus, it's just so silly.
It's
and the wigs are bad.
It's overkill at that point.
Yes, it is. Yeah. So that knocks it down. And then, quite frankly, Pussy Galore, I think he says, I appeal to her motherly instincts because she looks like a mom. Maybe she's a MILF to those of you. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she's a MILF. But she's got that. I even wrote down before he said the line. She had a motherly hairdo. She looked.
Yeah. She looked like everybody's drunk mom.
Yes.
In the early '70s.
Yeah. And I'm not Stifler, so I just don't. So I ended up also averaging it out to a 004.
It's cool.
So because but if you compare her as an adversary, I almost want to just put her as a villain.
Mm-hmm.
I think we don't need to get into it, but I'm not a big fan of how quickly she turns, just because of what happens. Yes. So yeah.
In the '60s, no meant try harder.
Correct. So cars, gadgets, weapons?
That's an easy one.
Mm-hmm.
007. Because it's everything. It's going to sound like a broken record for me.
Yeah.
Everything in this movie is the standard from moving on.
Yep.
That eventually just deteriorates and turns into
farce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where you can't tell some of the Bond movies from some of the Austin Power movies.
Exactly.
I mean, right down to it's got the Aston Martin, R.I.P. his first Aston Martin.
Yes.
The cool shoe devices, the little tracking signal thing.
Yep.
All of it. The machine guns and that car is amazing.
Yes.
I mean.
Yep.
So. No, man, it's got everything right down to I'll even include Oddjob's hat in the gear department.
Yes, absolutely.
And
his golden gun.
And his golden gun. Yes. Yeah. 007. Easy peasy.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, you're right. 00. Of course, it's 007. Well, first of all, Peter Brady tonight. First of all, we get Q Branch. I mean, this is the first.
Yeah.
So you figure in the first movie he's not even called Q.
Right.
In the first movie he's Boothroyd and not even the same actor. Then we get Q walking in with the briefcase in movie 2. Now we actually see Q Branch, which sets up all kinds of parodies for the future, but also that now going to Q Branch is now the standard.
Yeah.
And you see some silly things, some serious gadgets.
Because he never jokes about.
Yes, I don't joke about my work, Miss James Bond. But we get Q being annoyed, as always. Yeah. We always get the bring it back in one piece, which he won't. So for me, that's
not this time especially.
No, and that's all a 007 for me, just Q Branch alone. But then, yes, the Aston Martin DB5, so iconic they bring it back. But the fact that all of its gadgets, quite frankly, aren't Now they're not like sci-fi.
No.
It's simple,
Yeah.
He's got some firecrackers that cause some smoke. He's got some oil that shoots out. The loaded machine guns in the front could be
The
done.
thing for the tires is a bit.
Yeah, that's a bit. Yeah, that's a bit
and
much.
the ejector seat, but
yeah, but could be done though.
Yeah.
Could be done. I'm sure MythBusters tested it out.
well, they did do the thing on the gold paint though, and I think they busted that myth.
Did they?
Yeah, I love just the rampant disregard for safety in Q Branch.
Yes.
Because dude's got a machine gun and he's shooting the other guy.
Yeah.
Never mind the fact that like 2 feet over, they're trying something else out. It's like a bullet can go flying, and
Yes.
who knows what kind of like
Yes.
explosive. The explosive teddy bear is probably over in the corner.
Right.
It could hit it with a stray bullet.
I mean, I also have to count the Rolls Royce Phantom 337 Goldfinger's car, which was gold and melted down, which is how he was smuggling. That was great. And then I'm going to count it as it's a car, so I'm going to count Tilly Masterson's car, which is actually the first generation Ford Mustang, which and then we also get a 64 Ford Thunderbird too, and that's like one of my favorites. So like every car. These are such iconic cars in this movie.
64, 65, 66 for me is peak Thunderbird.
Yes, exactly. Yep. I love it. I love all the cars. And they even did it right. Even when you get to cheesy old Kentucky, they get a wood-sided station wagon.
Yep. So it turns into America, baby.
Yeah, that's right. And then I would say like the gadget of the fact that I like the shoe gadget. That was very realistic to me.
Yeah.
And the fact that they use the car crusher to kill the guy, I kind of like the fact that they're going to extract the gold out of it later.
Oddjob didn't think to just take the gold out of the trunk first, because he could have.
Yeah, he could have lifted. Yes, he could have. Yes,
he could have easily just lifted.
Yeah, so there's a lot of unnecessary.
Yeah.
But overall, 007 for sure.
Yeah. This is almost too easy.
Yep.
He was awesome in the first movie. He was getting better in the second movie. Better than awesome, if that's possible. By this movie, he's polished.
Yes.
He will kill, screw, steal anything he has to do to get the mission done.
Yep.
I mean, he could like in the when he throws the fan in the bathtub, he could have just left the room. And I was like, nope, kill this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely 007. Did we get the James Bond line?
Yes, he says it to. Hold on, Jill in the beginning of the movie.
Okay. Yeah. It's everything. It's everything. Everything in this movie. He's perfect.
Yeah. I also am rating him a 007. I think this is peak Sean Connery. I agree. But my favorite things about him in this movie are, I mean, the look is still there. We're 64, so the look is still perfect.
Yeah.
His lines in this movie are just fantastic. I'm so glad. And the I must be dreaming when he meets Pussy Galore. And this is the shaken, not stirred the first time.
Yeah.
But for me, like the peak moment of I just love how he's gleeful in what he does. He's
mad.
Yeah, yes, he is. He's enjoying torturing Goldfinger throughout the movie. But I love the jail cell scene. So when he's in the cell underneath I guess it's the stables, when he's like coming onto the Korean guard and he does the whole winks and then his head lowers.
You almost expect him to do the thing by the door like that.
Yeah. I just love how he does that. I love, but he's also in, I mean, I imagine the theater in 64 when the laser scene, when he almost gets it and he barely talks his way out of that one. So I think he's got, there's he's not perfect.
Yeah.
And,
no.
So, yeah. And so he makes mistakes. He underestimates Goldfinger, overestimates what he's doing. And so he still is a character that kind of grows on this movie.
Yeah. And almost honestly destroys everything because he was
Yeah.
going to pull the wrong wire.
Yes, he was. Yeah, he sure was in the end. Yeah. And I mean, in that final scene, again, I just think the only way that's not peak for me is why Pussy Galore. But I guess it's all that's all who was left.
Yeah,
Pilot's all left. And so
there's
yeah,
always Money Penny, but
yeah, no, she'll never pour Money Penny.
Money
But
Penny.
I think it'd been interesting to end like in his old age, he just ends up marrying Money Penny.
Or you know what? He comes in there and like because he's retiring and
Yeah.
she's retiring. And he's like, you know, we always said we were going to do blah, blah, blah. We're
Mm-hmm.
going to do this. And well, now maybe let's do that. And like, she's like, I'm sorry, you waited too long, Mr. Bond. And like,
Yeah.
she walks out with like Q. He's like,
Or she walks out with M.
Yeah.
For an M take off. Oh, by the way, we didn't talk
She
about.
got both of them.
Yeah. That's right. I like the whole alphabet.
That's right.
But and then M also, you know, he's got a tete-a-tete with M in this movie. So
Yeah, yeah.
And I love the scene where and he's the know-it-all about the alcohol, which that's they've one up that from the
Yeah,
other first two
yeah.
movies. Now he can just tell by the smell
Yeah.
what's wrong with the alcohol. But I love the fact that M's sitting there while they're talking, trying to figure out how do you figure that out? He's angry about it. Yeah. So yeah, I just bought this is peak Connery.
Mm-hmm.
The only other thing that brings it down for me is Felix Leiter. This is like the old Dragnet Felix Leiter guy, and he's just he looks like a. I want to say he's FBI. Now he does not seem like CIA. How can you go from Jack Lord, who seems like Bond's equal and is smooth as hell, CIA, to like him?
He reminds me. Yeah, he's definitely FBI.
Yeah,
but he reminds me of the guy that played the chief in Get Smart.
Yes, him too. Yes. So for that, I think Bond stands out even more because Felix Leiter now is not his equal anymore.
Yeah.
The only thing I think is still funny to this day is that one thing the writers got wrong, the producers got wrong, and Bond gets wrong is it's 64, and he says it's like listening to the Beatles without earmuffs. Boy, did they get culture wrong.
I mean, he is a dinosaur.
Yeah, he is. Yes, he is.
He was an old dinosaur.
Yeah, he was. So I just think that's funny.
I kind of agree with him, but
well, yeah, that's a whole other video. So, all right. So now we get to we're going to add up our scores. We're going to do some math with the magic of.
Yeah, hang on. I gotta grab my pen.
Okay.
I mean, you can tell.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I just gotta grab my pen.
Oh, I'm surprised you don't have a pen in your tie hidden there, James Bond. There.
It's actually my laser pen.
Yes.
So yeah. Actually, set my paper on fire.
7 categories. Yeah, that's not like it. It's okay. Nice one. I think it's gonna be a tough one to beat. Just some gas here. It's not good to set as a divisor.
Yeah, my dyscalculia odd numbers mess me all the time. What's the top score could possibly be set? No.
Oh, out of all, so it'd be 7 times 749. Okay, 49 is the top score. So out of 0049, what do you give Goldfinger overall?
Well, that just surprised me. It gets a 0048.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And it's not even my favorite Bond movie.
Yeah, let me double check my math here. Hold on. What is it? 16, 22, 26. I don't have that high. 26.
I love numbers.
Okay. No, mine's a 0040. So that's up there though. That's good. If you average that out, that's about a 6 out of 7. So I mean, it is considered probably one of the greatest Bond movies. But I agree with you. There's so much I like in it, but and I'll watch it if it's on TV, but it's not like my personal favorite. Even though we scored it high, if we were doing favorite James Bond movies, it would be lower for me.
Right.
So maybe we could do that at the end. We could just say our favorites.
In like 3 years when we get through all
we're done all this. Yeah, sure. That's okay. We got plenty of time.
We've got all the time in the world.
We've got all the time in the world.
Nothing more. Nothing less. I'll let you take us home.
Well, that ends up our moon ranking of Goldfinger for tonight and our episode of MoonRanker for the Return of the Son of the Show. I'm Mark.
And I'm Paul.
And just like James Bond, we will return with Thunderball.
He
Yes.
always runs while others walk.
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.